Y'all, it's been a gigantic week of teasers for Wizard101, and if you've been following the content, we've been pretty busy covering the Shadow and Hand spell teasers and the Scion teasers for every school. But this week, they also put out storyline teasers that we need to talk about. I have a lot of thoughts on these, right? To start right off, this is what they actually tweeted out just a few days ago, and the caption was, "What a pleasant surprise," and it looks to be a teaser that says that we're gonna be seeing some sort of return of the three major bad guys in Arc 3. We're talking about Rasputin, we're talking about Old Cobb, we're talking about the Titan's Trident. Now, there have already been a lot of speculations on what this could possibly be teasing. I think to me it's very obvious that it's one of two things. The more likely thing is that they're revisiting old bosses at the end of older worlds while they're doing the spell element revamp, and they're adding a challenge mode to them so you could farm them for those spell elements by scaling down your level. Now, we might also see second chance gauntlets with these bosses, but to me it makes so much more sense in the update that they're doing a spellman update with Arc 3 spells for us to be able to farm them in Arc 3 with bosses that already exist. Now, this is pretty exciting because I feel like any opportunity to revisit old bosses for spellmans is really, really cool. But keep in mind, they've had a really, really weird stance on how higher level wizards ought to farm bosses from our past. And I think this specific update is going to be very, very interesting compared to previous ones. Their philosophy on this is that it shouldn't just be as simple as going in and just, you know, casting a shadow on a really, really low level boss and calling it a day. They added these things where you could basically scale down your level at these, and I'm gonna assume based on this teaser that we're gonna have a way to scale down to level whatever it is, depending on which boss you fight, probably 110, 120, 130. And considering this is gonna be the first set of probably farmable bosses that we could actually use things like shads on after scaling down and farm spellments from, this might be the first, like, you know, actual scale downable instance that you could farm spellments for without really giving up too many stats, right? The jump from 170 to like 130 to farm Arc 3 spellments isn't really as bad as scaling from 170 to like 50 to farm Arc 1 spellments. That's been a thing. I'm also gonna assume though, especially if they revamp the cheats on these things when you do scale down, that it's actually gonna be much more challenging than what we've been used to as well when it comes to farming, right? The cheats get kind of crazy at this point. So what I really, really hope they do, I hope if it is supposed to be where we're farming spellments, if we want to, like, you know, do it the traditional PvE route, I really hope that the rewards are worth it. I honestly think sometimes they expect you to do some of these like really hard boss fights even after scaling down, and you get like maybe 10 to 20 spellments or something per run, but it takes you like 20 minutes or something. And I don't know what their measurement for how much you ought to farm for spellments is, but considering that there's another way to get spellments whenever these updates drop, which is cantrips chest farming, they should look at how long it takes some, like, you know, group of 3 to spam open cantrips chests, which is what people do. They should see how long it takes for someone to do that, and then, you know, correlate it with how much time it might take to farm a boss and make it more equal. From my experience, every time one of these spellman updates comes out, this is like the third spellman update in 3 years where they're, you know, rolling out an arc full of spellments. My default has always been cantrip chest farming, and it's super repetitive, super energy intensive because it uses energy to open up cantrip chests, and it does take a while, but it's always way faster than farming any of these bosses that they expect you to scale down to fight. Since test realm is around the corner, I really hope that they take that feedback seriously. Make it rewarding. It is so much more inconvenient to get 3 other people, not 2 other people to cantrip chest, 3 other people to farm a boss with you. It should literally be a shorter amount of time to farm a boss for your max tier spellment than it is opening up hundreds of cantrip chests, and it isn't. That's weird. I'm super excited to revisit these bosses. If the boss fights feel rewarding, I might do them once and just stop if it feels tedious. But yeah, y'all, I do think these are going to be a revisiting of old bosses with challenge modes where you can make a lot of spellments out of it, basically. I think that's their goal with this teaser. Now, the other teaser relates to a part of this update that honestly I feel like almost nobody has talked about up to this point. So like every other spring update, it's a reasonable expectation that we're also going to be getting a gauntlet with this update. That's their main, like, it's not storyline because I guess it's not main storyline content, but it's like, you know, questing adjacent, you know, that's like their main part of the spring update. And they put out some teasers regarding this too, and it's looking like it's going to be one of the most unique dungeons that they've ever put out. So the first teaser, some kind of life raven, some kind of druid or something like that. And the caption for this teaser was, "A roll of fate has brought us together," kind of like you're rolling a die. And on the same day, they put out another teaser with what looks to be some sort of like minstrel, I think is what they're called. And a lot of people were speculating on these. Now, we don't know if these are related to the gauntlet, but because these are characters you've never seen, and that's normally like their main, like, you know, story-based update during the spring update, I think they relate to what's gonna happen in the gauntlet. Now, the gauntlet, we know very, very little about it, which is kind of crazy considering test run looks to be around the corner, maybe even this week. But what we do know is what they've said on livestream, the devs. They said that it's gonna be some kind of role-playing Dungeons and Dragons, you know, type of gauntlet. And what a lot of people are speculating is that when you go into this gauntlet, you can actually pick a character on your team, and I guess it maybe changes depending on, you know, I guess like when you do the gauntlet, maybe there's some replayability with which character you are. So it might use like polymorph mechanics and stuff like that. So people are speculating that two of the characters that you might be able to polymorph into to run this gauntlet are the Raven, and they are, you know, whoever this is, some kind of like bard. Now, I don't know if I'm the only one who feels this way. I think polymorph fights, they're really, really fun. I think the most iconic one for a lot of people is the one that happens when you turn into Morgant and you, like, you know, experience her world through her eyes. But since that quest, they've done a lot, especially with the recent weaving stuff. Literally every weaving quest gives you a unique deck to work with, but a lot of those weaving quests are a little tedious, so I think a lot of people, like, they have like kind of a bad association with polymorph fights right now. But hopefully they make the polymorph fights feel kind of OP. I feel like if you're gonna turn into a whole ass other thing, you know, give it some pizzazz. I think that's something that a lot of the weaving quests were missing up to this point. My big question for the gauntlet, as someone that's, you know, really trying to weigh how much I'm gonna run it, I really hope that they also add, like, you know, some sort of unique gear template, because this is gonna be the first time we're getting a gauntlet release in recent times anyway, where there hasn't been a level increase. I kind of talked about this the previous time they did what could have been a gauntlet teaser. I still don't know, but I think that is like a make or break for both of these teasers. While a lot of this stuff is really, really fun, running this more than once, running this a few times, especially actively choosing to spend time with people running these, you know, even over the course of a week or two, right? For it to feel like something that was worth waiting for, I do hope that the rewarding, whether it comes to things like spell elements, things like, you know, the polymorph fight aspect being like really fun and entertaining, or maybe even other things like unique pets, mount drops, maybe things like cosmetics. I hope they really go out of their way, because previously during the spring update, I feel like I run the gauntlet once. I might run the challenge mode that is supposed to drop spell elements once, and then either I don't have gear that I want to farm the gauntlet for, or I'm just gonna spam cantrips chests for my spell elements anyway, and that makes what could be an actually fun time into something a little bit more tedious and repetitive than it needs to be. So these specific teasers, very, very excited for the potential of them. I kind of hope that they build on things that didn't work in the past though. But yeah, y'all, big TLDR, it looks like we are going to be getting a gauntlet, and based on what they've said, and if we're right about these teasers, it could be one of the most unique gauntlets to play through ever, and we're gonna have a chance to revisit past enemies, especially I guess in Arc 3 with the Spellman update. That could either be a flop or a really, really fun time, depending on how they do it. We have test room to get feedback, so we definitely should. Do y'all agree with what I think these teasers are about? Keep in mind, some of this is speculation. These are just teasers. Let me know if y'all agree or disagree. Let me know what y'all think about them. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Leave us up if you're new. And as always, if somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome, y'all. See y'all soon. And yeah.